Oh, yeah. Have you been to Chinatown? No. Okay, so what you will do is you will carry a pencil and an eraser to all your exams. Okay, this is a suggestion, but especially for this exam, I would expect you to carry a pencil and an eraser. And before you start jotting down your answer, you will divide the space into sections, and you will give each section a heading, title sentence, okay, or thesis sentence, supporting sentence 1, supporting sentence 2, supporting sentence 3, if required, and then the example, and then the conclusion. And once you are done crafting your answer, you will erase these headings. That is how you will write every answer. You don't just dive, head first into it. You go into it with a plan. This is the plan. So when your answer sheets are evaluated, these blank spaces should be there. Title sentence 1, supporting sentence, supporting sentence 1, 2, 3 as required, example, conclusion. With pencil. These have to be etched using a pencil. Once you are done with your answer, you will erase them. Okay, is this clear? This is the only acceptable way. If you write something and it takes the examiner a lot of effort to make sense of what you have written, then it will be unacceptable. You will lose marks. Please try something new and productive in this exam. Okay? Please get a pencil and I would recommend that you do it in every paper. Okay? Where you are forced to think. Please do it. This is the only way to write an answer. Or any piece of composition. Okay? Fine? Okay, so yeah. Wittgenstein, how does Wittgenstein influence logical questions? And how does later Wittgenstein refute logical questions? Can you answer this question? It is a long answer question. Obviously, it's a long answer question, but your answer does not have to be necessarily long. It has to be precise. It has to be precise and it has to be exhaustive. You can't miss out on important points. So precision and answers being exhaustive. These are the two criteria you will have to adhere to. Okay, so can you answer this question? Do you remember Wittgenstein? What does Wittgenstein say? What is the first proposition? Principal proposition in the factors. What is the first proposition, Samsari?
All that is the case.
Yeah. What is the second proposition?
The case is the fact or the state of affairs.
Yes. Third proposition, principle. What does Wittgenstein say about the world in these three propositions? Does he say anything about the world? Just give me a simple answer. Does he say anything about the structure of the world?
No.
No. Does he propound a theory about the world? Okay. Why doesn't he propound a theory about the world?
Sir, according to him, it is the scientist's job. It's
Good.
not philosopher's job.
Yeah, it is the scientist's job. There is a reason why Wittgenstein is so lucid in the 3 or 4 fundamental propositions. Okay, and this itself acts as an impetus for logical positivism to draw out of. Is that clear? Yes or no? Yes? Okay. So how does early Wittgenstein influence logical positivism?
Wait. his first proposition.
Yeah.
So this first proposition is saying the world is all that is a case or state of affairs. Like it is trying to say everything is real or it's not real, sorry, meaningful.
Okay. The world is all that is the case.
Or s-
So what does he mean when he says all that is the case? We encounter a world. Okay. Is this a realist position?
yeah.
It is an eminently realist position. We encounter the world, but it's also a very minimalistic realist position. Can you understand the difference? Hmm? I have told you this earlier as well. Wittgenstein was a genius, which is unequivocal. It is not up for debate. He was a genius. Just think what he's doing here. He's using a language that is as metaphysically divested to talk about metaphysics, to talk about the most pressing issues. Okay, the world is what to confront out there. As simple as that. What its status is, what its ontology is for the experts to investigate. I am not the expert, is what Wittgenstein is simply saying. Okay, does this position cohere with that of the logical positivist? Does it hook on to the logical positivist's fundamental principles? Yes. Yes. It makes gives the sciences the lion's share in appropriating our knowledge. Leave to the sciences or render unto the sciences what the sciences are capable of. Okay? So, this is how the story begins. Wittgenstein's influence. Okay? What are other influences? What does picturing mean? What is the difference between a thought and a proposition? The difference between propositions that are sensible, nonsensical, and senseless. Okay? Don't have to repeat all this. You know all this, right? You have your notes. Okay? Does this map onto logical positivism? Yes. What is metaphysics of Wittgenstein? It is nonsensical. Why is it nonsensical? Because metaphysical propositions do not reference anything in the world. Okay? This is a scientific approach to deciphering the world, to unraveling the world. Okay? This is how the influence began. Right? And what is this picturing? What is the salient characteristic of this picturing? Isomorphism. Isomorphism in terms of what? Is there a meaning in the world which has to be reflected in propositions? Is that what Wittgenstein means by isomorphism? Isomorphism of what? Logical structure.
Sir,
Huh?
you mentioned that if there is no one, there is no fact. That is not isomorphism, right? Here.
There is no. Speak a bit louder,
If
please.
there is no world, there is no fact. That is what we are reading.
So isomorphism, what it means is that there is a logical structure in the world that you encounter. All that is the case. Okay. That logical structure exists on the side of the world. Cat is on the map. No matter how hard you try to manipulate the logical structure of a cat being on a map, you cannot change it in your representation of the world. Okay. So that is the logical structure that is being represented by, forgotten all this. But you had another bunch of classes with Professor Chandra, so your memory should be extremely sharp. I have been busy with other things, but you have had what? Classes with two teachers. So how can you not remember this? What is logical isomorphism? Logical isomorphism, there is a logical structure to state of affairs or facts. Okay? Your language, your propositions make up what? Language. There should be symmetry or isomorphism between the logical structure of your way of picturing the world, state of affairs, facts, and the logic that exists on the side of facts. Okay. Is this a logical positivist position? No. Why not?
Because it can only deal with syntactic isomorphism, but in logical positivism there are jam semantic discussion which is dealing with meaning.
Yeah, though
But
it's dealing with meaning, but does meaning presuppose
Yeah.
logical isomorphism or not?
yeah,
Our question is, does Wittgenstein form the foundation for logical positivism to stand upon? It does, right?
Yeah.
But the question of semantics, okay, so they are not just content with logical isomorphism. The question of semantics is also paramount for ascertaining whether or not a sentence is meaningful. Okay, and as Noam Chomsky's famous example shows, a sentence can be logically astute. It can be logically astute. So when we say logically astute, what do we mean? Its ability to be represented through symbolic logic. Okay, and yet it could be semantically empty. Okay. So what is the famous example that Noam Chomsky gives? So what?
meaningless idea.
Yeah. What is?
Green ideas we furiously on the ground.
Okay. So really, for the logical positivist, now try to do a three-way comparison. Put on your philosopher's hats. For the logical positivist, this sentence is logically astute. Is it logically astute or not?
No.
Logically astute or not?
No.
It can be represented in symbolic logic. Huh? But is it semantically valid? It's not semantically. Why is it not semantically valid? I mean, I have told you this in a class that it is obvious to everybody. You ask a guard here outside, does this sentence make sense? He will tell you it does not make sense. You ask him another question, why does it not make sense? He will not be able to tell. It is your job to be able to explain to yourself and others why the sentence is semantically invalid. Why is it semantically invalid?
Because it does not refer to the state of affairs.
It does not represent or reference a state of affairs. Yes. Now, again, this answer comes from early Wittgenstein or later Wittgenstein? Early Wittgenstein. Good. Early Wittgenstein would say that it does not reference or allude to a state of affairs. Okay. Just because a state of affairs are logically cogent does not mean that any proposition which references that state of affairs automatically becomes what? Meaningful. Does Wittgenstein speak of meaning? He speaks of what? Sense. Yes, he speaks of sense. And just because the early Wittgenstein fails to differentiate between sense and meaning, the later Wittgenstein feels obliged to replace and to refute and denounce those Wittgenstein. Where does meaning come from? Early Wittgenstein or later Wittgenstein?
Later.
Later Wittgenstein. Now, have you performed this three-way comparison between early Wittgenstein, logical positivism, and the later Wittgenstein? Is it clear or no? Is it clear or is it not clear? No. Early Wittgenstein is not talking about meaning. Okay. But precisely because he fails to speak of meaning, a gap is created for the later Wittgenstein to step in and address the question of meaning. Is it clear? Okay, so now you know how to answer this question. Early Wittgenstein, later Wittgenstein, how do they influence logical positivism? So early Wittgenstein, to give you an analogy from folklore or Western, Western folklore, is the Pied Piper. Okay, and the logical positivists are the rats who blindly follow the Pied Piper. Okay, what does the Pied Piper do in that story? He leads the rats off a cliff to their death. And that's what they do, because before the later Wittgenstein would come into existence, they they make all their grand staggering claims. Okay. Is this clear now? Okay, now what would the later Wittgenstein say about, we have discussed this in class. Colorless green ideas sleep furiously on the floor. Is this statement meaningful or not? It is meaningful. Remember, the early Wittgenstein will not denounce this sentence as meaningless, only as senseless. Can you see the limitations of science now? Science can tell you what is sensible, what can be used in its experiments. It cannot tell you what is also meaningful. And that's why, it's as if the early Wittgenstein visited the later Wittgenstein somehow, and he could preempt what the later Wittgenstein would do. This is that man's genius. And this is the genius that the Vienna Circle lacked. They were all very smart and cunning and intelligent and, what's the other word? Clever. Yeah, but Wittgenstein was a genius. He could have easily said that this sentence lacks meaning. Somehow he did not say, just go deeper into Wittgenstein. You will fall in love with it. He went there, but he did not fall into the fallacies which he had no way of avoiding. Because the philosophical investigations were not written well. Can you understand this? So this statement of colorless green ideas towards purity on the floor, is it meaningful or not?
Yes,
It is meaningful. Why is it meaningful?
because it is used as an example.
Yeah, it can be used as an example. Yes, it has a purpose in our linguistic framework. Had it not had a use within our linguistic frameworks, we would simply not have invoked it. The very fact that we have invoked it shows its use, demonstrates its use. And meaning for the later Wittgenstein comes through its
Structure.
no use. Okay. Now can you now connect the dots and write an answer on how the early Wittgenstein influenced logical positivism and the later Wittgenstein caused logical positivism to collapse? Can you write an answer? How would you do it? There are three components to the answer. What is the first component? Obviously, it is early Wittgenstein. What is the second component? How logical positivism arose under the influence of early Wittgenstein. What is the third component? How logical positivism, how the later Wittgenstein, and then, because we don't want to make it a very long answer, how the later Wittgenstein showed the antinomies within logical positivism. Now, within each of these three sections, how do you go about writing an answer? There is a topic sentence. Each of these three sections, there is a supporting sentence. There is another supporting sentence, an example, and a conclusion. Then, for the next section, you repeat the same scheme. Third section, you repeat the same scheme. That will give you your perfect answer. Understood? Okay. Understood, right? Urvashi. Okay, so our primary question was what? Why the verification piece? Okay. Now, what is another question that can be formulated out of the primary question? Is the verification principle self-sufficient? Is it self-sufficient? Does it do everything it seeks to do? Okay, so you have said that a statement can be meaningful only if it can be verified empirically. You also said that a statement can also be true by definition. Okay, what is the next step required for the sciences to get off the ground? You need some kind of theory, right?
Yeah.
No? Okay. So is there any problem with the logical positivism with forming theories? Okay, you can easily translate all observation into theories. Are there any problems? They are problems. Okay. What sort of sentence strives to approximate observed data?
Using
Protocol? A protocol sentence? Okay. Can a protocol sentence approximate or reflect observed data? Is that possible? Why is it not possible?
According to Neurat, uh, every when we try to using this protocol sentence, we already every word already correlated, which like water, then I, and degree Celsius, all of these things.
You're already using theoretical.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are using theoretical concepts. You are already using a language that is heavily invested with theory, right? So theory is playing an intermediary role in the construction of theory. How is that possible? Where does the process of constructing theory begin? Okay, so this is a problem. So if you were asked about the problems that logical positivism runs in doing what? In demarcating the sciences. Would you be able to answer this question? You won't be able to answer this question. What is the Quine's criticism?
According to Quine, when we need concentration for philosophical inquiry,
Yeah.
whenever when something goes wrong, we cannot point out which one is wrong because all of these things is already in the web of scientific instrument. So maybe the wrong is in the instrument itself, maybe with the object. So we cannot point out which one is wrong and want to justify the protocol sentence.
Okay, and so can all scientific endeavors, projects, pursuits be reduced to empirical observation? Can they be reduced?
If when we reduce it, also make it isolated.
If it's made, if it's isolated, then
It's not.
so what is the alternative that he proposes?
He said,
Holism. Holism. Okay. Now, can you connect Quine's conception of holism with um, with mm, with the rejection of the verification criteria by Karl Popper? Can these two criticisms be connected?
yeah,
How?
Proper he proposed for framework of the scientific, which is we call it as paradigm, and it means every theory cannot has a meaning.
Is that Karl Popper or is it
Kuhn.
Kuhn? Yeah, I'm talking about, you're getting tired. Okay. If you are tired, then there's no point getting deep into philosophy because you won't be able to do philosophy. So if you ask a question about the criticism of logical positivism, you will write something about Karl Popper, you will write something about Quine, you will write something about Thomas Kuhn. Okay, so Thomas Kuhn replaces the autonomy of a theory with the inclusiveness of a paradigm. Okay, paradigm shift. Remember this phrase. You remember what the phrase paradigm shift. You will also remember what a paradigm is. So a theory doesn't germinate It doesn't come to fruition on its own. It comes to fruition within paradigms. Okay. What is a paradigm?
It's it is a combination of many theories.
Yeah, combination of many theories, right conditions. Yeah, so what is required for scientific advancement to take place? A revolution. Okay, not revolution in the sense where the government is overthrown, but where a bunch of radically new ideas cohere and bring about a complete shift, a paradigm shift in the way the sciences are pursued. Okay, so you can write an answer on this. Yeah, you can write an answer on Quine. You can write an answer on why Quine rejects the analytic synthetic distinction. Yeah. What is a radical new category that what's it? Saul Kripke proposes? So, what are the two categories of knowledge in logical positivism? The a priori and yeah. What is necessary?
which involve possible words.
Yeah. Can the a posteriori be necessary?
Yeah.
What does Saul Kripke say about the necessity of a posteriori sentences or statements?
Like H2O,
Yeah. So it is necessary. Why is it necessary?
because the all possible words if we are finding such
Yeah.
things which has.
Yeah. So H2O is a rigid designator. You remember rigid designator? You remember the term? It possesses a certain consistency, and that consistency lets it perform its role as a theory and within larger theories. Okay. So the necessity does not come just from a priori statements, but also from a posteriori statements. A posteriori less it. Okay. And if you asked something about what's his name? What's his name? Saul Kripke and yeah, Hilary Putnam. So what does Hilary Putnam say about semantic externalism? Do you know what semantic externalism is? Write an essay on semantic externalism of Hilary. Did you want to do that? How would you go about doing this? Semantic means what? Meaning. Externalism means what?
Which is outside.
Yeah. So is it a form of realism? Prima facie, is it a form of realism or not?
Yes.
It is a form of realism. Okay. But then why is it not a realism? Is it a form of anti-realism?
Yes.
Why? What is the distinction between naive realism and anti-realism?
Putnam says that when we derive meaning, it doesn't mean all of these things comes from external and critical data. We also construct the meaning from convention, the society. So it rejects the stance of naive realism.
Okay, what is naive realism? In this very within this very framework and in these very terms of reference, how would you define naive realism?
Like we can compare it with the naive philosophy. Say
Okay, so if I define naive realism as follows, naive realism holds that the external thing, object, etc., also supplies the semantic content. When you talk about direct perception, is that a theory of naive realism or not? What does direct perception mean? When I say that I perceive this bottle directly, what am I contending?
the object comes from the object.
Okay, no, just start with first principles. I perceive it directly as it is. Okay, what is, yeah,
It is meaningful.
it's meaningful. It is a bottle and I perceive it as such, which is how it happens. If you take a phenomenological point of view, there is nothing called a bare perception. Bare perception is an impossibility within phenomenology. All forms of perception are already laden with meaning. They are already embedded in a, they are already situated in a context. Okay. So, naive realist would contend that the meaning is supplied by the object, which is another way of saying that I perceive the object as it is. Direct perception. Direct perception is a theory of naive realism. Okay. What is this gentleman, Hilary Putnam, saying? Is he talking about direct perception? Where does meaning come from? The meaning comes from outside you. Okay, so on the face of it, it sounds like direct perception. Why is it not naive realism? Would you be able to answer this question? Why is semantic externalism not a form of naive realism? I've told you this already. Okay. How is meaning constructed for a semantic externalist? It is through societal conventions. It is in the pragmatic use of language, in everyday linguistic practices, and through a pragmatic interests. Okay. Does this mean that the object is being grasped as it is? Is the meaning being supplied by the object, or is the meaning being supplied by the manner in which we have posited the object? Understood? Hilary Putnam, the early Hilary Putnam, is not a naive realist precisely for this reason. So, can you write an answer on why Hilary Putnam is not a naive realist? Are you sure? Why external realism is not a form of naive realism? Can you write an answer? Yes or no?
Yes.
Please let me know. Not everyone has said yes. No. If you haven't understood, then ask me. Haven't understood this. What is naive realism? Urvashi, what is naive realism?
It's a form of realism
Yeah.
that it's just like realism, but it includes that every object can produce its own meaning.
Yeah, not can. Every object produces
Every
its own
object
meaning. There is no
produces-
option. Yeah.
Produces its own.
It is another way of saying that an object is perceived directly.
No.
Yeah, everything that it can contribute from a semantic point of view, it contributes. Okay, is this what Hilary Putnam is saying when he talks about external realism? Semantic externalism. This is not what he's saying, right? Yeah, can you write an answer on this? Okay, so and if you ask something about logical positivism and Buddhism and Nyaya, would you be able to write an answer? How many questions are you asking? How many were you asked in the first semester? It's the same pattern.
Depends.
You give me a sample. 7 questions.
So,
How many long answer questions?
depends on the teacher. No, there is no particular pattern. So,
Give me the minimum threshold.
like
Lowest common denominator.
say
5, 4,
5.
5.
Sir, Dean sir usually ask 5 questions for 2
That
marks.
is fine.
Then
All have to follow
five
these.
long answers. Like
5 and then long answers.
no, 2 long answers.
2 long answers, 3 short answers.
Like this. After that, you will ask to write essay on 2, 3.
After that, no, don't give me after that, give me an all-inclusive answer.
Sir, they usually in one paper there are 3 parts. So the first part is short questions, 5 short
How
questions.
many?
5
5.
options.
Options, okay. 3 out of 5.
No, 8. Yeah.
8 and you have
5
to
out of
answer.
8. Yes,
Okay. Second is short answer.
Second, no, first is short answer.
Second is medium answer. Medium length. How many questions?
3,
Okay, 3.
5 per questions.
Okay, and the final is 2 long answer.
Yeah, like this.
2.
It is different for every
Different
subject.
for every subject.
So the
It should be like
lowest, sorry,
high 2 mark question.
In some
Then
subjects,
might give 8 questions.
Five
Then-
plus 5 plus 2, 3 plus 2.
Then 4 into 5. Short answer question.
हाँ, four.
We will have and 2 and MCQ कैसा रहेगा?
Objective.
And 2.
Okay.
So it will 20, 20, 10.
लॉन्ग आंसर 3 से ज़्यादा होता ही नहीं है।
Short.
आपने बोला 4 into 5.
4 into 5,
4
10 into 2.
कभी आता ही नहीं है।
5 into
History, there was a paper in Buddhism beyond borders,
Yeah.
and there were 8 questions, and they have to answer 4. That's it.
That's all.
Yeah.
That is also acceptable.
Twenty.
You have to go for
That will
such.
be better for
Even in other
8
departments,
out of 4 out of 8 is fine.
20 marks, one question. Other
more
departments.
options you can get now.
More options. We will see.
क्वेश्चन ही ना
Out of 8, 4 you have to answer, means you have a lot of options. 50% you have.
Whatever you do, don't take your leave from the framework. Okay, topic sentence, supporting sentence, example, conclusion. Whatever you write, you will not go wrong if you do this. Okay, otherwise you will lose the plot. It is very easy to lose the plot in physics. The topic sentence will let you frame what you are trying to do. And spend some time meditating on, pondering. Then there are supporting sentence. Okay? And don't just, if you think that you can remember Quine, but forget Wittgenstein, it will not work. Philosophy will not work like that. You will have to remember Wittgenstein to be able to speak meaningfully about Quine. That will always hold true. If you know where logical positivism comes from and where it goes to die, then everything else is just a matter of formality. Okay? Everything that we have discussed in the class is important. If you have taken notes, please go through your notes, correlate them with everything that has been discussed in the previous lectures and with what Professor Chandra has taught you. And try practicing answers, not just to what we have discussed, but also come up with your own questions. And follow the framework, okay? The framework is important, it is non-negotiable. Take a pencil and an eraser to this exam, preferably to all exams. Okay? Any question? Anything you want to ask? What?
Objective क्या है? 2 marks का short question. I into 2, I into 4, 10 into 2.
For the short answer questions, I expect something on the lines of, is George Berkeley a realist? You won't be asked, simple, stupid questions. Be prepared to be forced to think. So if someone asks, no, don't please, nothing has to be noted down, nothing. This is all off the record, nothing has been put in there, but I am giving you a sample so that you are not taken by surprise. People are taken by surprise in philosophy. That should not happen to you. Okay? David Hume, what is the problem with David Hume? And something very simple. Analytic synthetic distinction. Who criticizes it? You can answer that question. Right? Yeah, short answers. Okay? Who are the founders of the Vienna School? Just write 3 names. You can do that. For the medium and long answer questions, you will have to follow the framework. You will have to frame it properly. Otherwise, you will lose marks. You will lose at least 20% of what you otherwise would have scored. Okay?
दो को लॉन्ग हुआ ना, एक तो 5
Too
मार्क्स
long.
I short.
दो
5
10
short, too long, 3 medium.
4 short. 4 short.
4
5 marks.
sir
5 into 4, 10 into 2, 5 into 2.
in medium also follow
5
the
into 4, 3 into 2,
2 into 5
2 into 5.
50 पूरा करना है.
हो गया.
40
Now give it to
40 हुआ ना
40 के 50 हुआ.
अरे हो गया ना.
हो जाएगा.
5 into 10 हुआ ना. 5 into 4 20 हुआ ना. 10 into 20 20 हुआ
5
ना.
लॉन्ग कर देते हैं.
पाँचों लॉन्ग कर
कुछ भी होता चले.
अरे तो 5 लॉन्ग कर सकते हैं.
अरे
जैसे
5 नंबर वाला
If you are asked why logical positivism cannot account for ethics, would you be able to answer the question?
आप ये शॉर्ट में चला जाए.
No, this is not a short question.
That into
It's very much a long answer. Can you answer? Sure. No, I mean, are you clear about this? If you ask something on the lines of, it can also be a long question, you know, in the sense that it's a descriptive question. Early Wittgenstein refuses to speak about ethics. Okay, so how do logical positivists interpret Wittgenstein's silence on ethics? Would you be able to answer this question? Is their interpretation of Wittgenstein's silence a reflection of what Wittgenstein intended? Expect long dialogical questions. Can you answer this? If you have paid attention to what we have discussed, the answer comes from that. There's nothing abnormal or supernatural to this question. The distinction between meaning and logical isomorphism. How does early Wittgenstein set the foundation for this distinction? How do the logical positivists grab onto it? And how do they fail to keep up with the corrective proposed by the later Wittgenstein? Can you answer the question? Can you answer questions that force you to think? Or do you just want questions that don't really trouble you? You have to tell me. I'm not asking, I'm just trying to understand how it is. Can you answer these sort of questions that force you to think? You remember what we discussed in the last lecture about logical positivism, Nyaya, and Buddhist logic? Why is the Nyaya not a form of logical or a form of proto-logical positivism? You know the word proto? Precursor. You know the word precursor? The antecedent. You know the word antecedent? You know all these things. Okay. You let me know whether you remember all this or not. Because it can't be too. This is okay, right? Why no response? Please let me know. This is okay.
No, sir.
Buddhism and all this is not okay. Okay. W.B. Quine's criticism of logical positivism. Two dogmas on empiricism. Okay. It's okay, right? Okay. The falsification or falsifiability criteria is okay.
Yes.
Why it replaces and how it replaces the verification principle. There is an or in the verification principle. Why? Is that okay? You'll have to refer to Kant and Hume. Just simple answer will not do. And the structure will have to follow. 20% marks is simply for the form. You know how well you can adhere to the formal requirements. Just writing anything, even if it is correct and if it is all jumbled up, you will not get marks. The form, as Andrew has said, has to be adhered to. Okay, remember all this. These things you can note. This is fine. protocol statements or protocol sentences. A question formulated around protocol sentences, is that fine? It is fine. You know what this is? Sure. Okay. Semantic externalism. Hillary Putnam's semantic externalism. How is Hillary Putnam's insights on semantic externalism a criticism of logical positivism? Can you do that? You'll have to first define semantic externalism. You'll have to show why it is not a form of naive realism. Then you can argue whether or not logical positivism is a form of naive realism. Okay, answer this question. Is it a form of naive realism? You all said that it is realism, but is it also naive realism? Very interesting question. This should be the question instead of is logical positivism a form of realism? Is it a form of naive realism? Can you answer this question? What is the first half of the verification criteria? Empirically verifiable. Okay. If everything is empirically verifiable, if meaningful sentences, all of them are empirically verifiable, then does the meaning come entirely from external reality? Think about the problems in formulating a theory. Can you think about this? If you are asked, is logical positivism a form of naive inverted commas realism? What are you going to answer? Are you asking ChatGPT? You can do that, but please, I am not asking you, I am not telling you the questions, I am not sharing the questions. I am giving you an inkling of because I can formulate a question paper which would be, it would be completely alien to you. I don't want to do that. So I'm just trying to gauge your understanding so that you're not caught by surprise. Okay? Why is logical positivism not a form of naive realism? Is it a form of naive? Yes or no? Can you answer this question? You tell me, you let me know, please. If the question paper is too simple, then that will also not work in your favor, because then people will, raise questions about the simplistic nature of the question. So some way a balancing act has to be performed. Is it fine? Why is it a form of naive realism?
Yes.
You understand it, right? You know naive realism, you know logical positivism. You can write an answer. Fine? Criticism of logical positivism, specific. Sol Kripke. Yeah. How does Sol Kripke's insights on rigid designators go against the verification principle? Can you write an answer? Does the verification principle propose rigid designators? Does it or does it not? Does it propose rigid designators? What?
Not sufficiently.
Hmm?
Not sufficiently.
Yeah. Why can't it do so? It can't do so because translating observed facts, data into theory is problematic. Theory itself requires, it is theory that supplies us with rigid designators. And for the logical positivist, there has to be a very clear demarcation between observed data and theoretical concepts. If theoretical concepts can be observed, then observation, which is the empirical method itself would be compromised. Got it? Understood or not? Use ChatGPT, use whatever you want to use, but please understand what has to be asked. And please don't just, what is it? I I'm just having a discussion. I'm not sharing any questions because nothing has been done. But you, I don't want you to be taken by surprise. Everything that we have discussed should be part of the question paper. That is the only point. Fine? Okay?
कुछ नहीं answer कर सकते.
Ganesh, please speak with Krishna. Huh? Yeah, please meet them. Meet them in the dining hall and tell them that this is how a answer has to be written. You have understood it, right? Topic sentence, supporting sentence. This is, yeah, take him along. Yeah, please Andrew, please assist him. Right?
I'll prove it.
Yeah, please assist. Otherwise, you will just write something and I will give you the marks. But if it goes for some kind of verification, then you will be in trouble, I also be in trouble. They are becoming very strict about these things. Okay? This is how it has to be written. Please take Andrew, you too, you are a team.
Yes.
Okay? And everybody has to write it in this fashion. This is non-negotiable. It should make sense to somebody. Suppose the Vice Chancellor randomly gets your answer sheets and he has to read it. It should make sense to him, even if it's not a philosopher. Please don't take this lightly. Okay? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.